Africa has to understand and learn this is how the game is played. You can't participate in the game if you just want to come in and sit at the table. Africa has the capacity to bring a whole new table into the room and seat everybody at the African table. Africa has the resources. Africa has the extensive ability to marshal its own human resources. It has a vibrant young population that will be very a powerful force for brokering as Africa goes forward. But we have to think more clearly. We have to think more in a specialized way of how does power work? How does geography work? And how can we take advantage of this situation to the benefit of Africa in this multipolar world?
And taking advantage is understanding how global governance work. It's understanding how diplomacy works, and it's understanding what is beneficial for the population. Still bringing us now to the challenges that we still face, or Africa faces as a continent, and other emerging countries that have actually challenged the traditional status quo of the global diplomacy. Here we want to look at what is actually stopping inclusivity in terms of global governance, and how probably resistant countries have become. Coming back to you, Mr. EZENWA, here we see that African countries that still actually indulge in borrowing from the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, and we still see that the revolutionary state, particularly Burkina Faso, has been able to make some developmental projects using financing it internally without borrowing. So it brings us again to a major problem, which I would love that you underline. What actually is that problem embedded in governance that has not pushed Africans to relook the credit status quo, as noted that the realities are already known to us. So what is that impediment stopping us, or major stakeholders or policy makers, particularly at the political level, towards changing or bringing the new table, like also MOBLEY said, that will actually limit the debt burdens of countries across the African continent?
Well, I think you were breaking towards the end, but I think that the first thing is the issue of ideology. How do you look at yourself? What do you believe? Mm-hmm. Do you think yourself as that you have the competencies, that you have the capacity to bring the changes? I don't think I'm comfortable with referring to Burkina Faso and Mali and all these other the Sahelian play as revolutionary. I think that no matter what it is, we must be able to clearly do not give comfort for people who take power in an undemocratic way. We cannot. I don't think we should give them that kind of comfort.
Sorry to interject, Mr. EZENWA. If we understand the narratives of our topic this day, we can still see that there is probably a word that has been coined as transformational, dictatorship. And today, when we're looking at governance in multipolarity, and the realities coming from the traditional powers, we still question what democracy is all about. And at the end, we are putting the interests of a nation at the fore. So how then
I
can
do
we
not,
complement all
agree.
of these aspects?
I do not, Clarisse, I do not agree with you. I don't think there is, if you could call it transformational, you could call it benevolent dictatorship. But the truth of the matter is that for us in Nigeria who saw through military rule and who sacrificed our youth to return to democracy, there is not going to be any excuse that is good enough for people to take power through option AK-47 and defend it under a pseudo, revolutionary transformative slogan. I don't want to share that. I want to think that we must prioritize first freedoms. It is under a free environment that people can think, that creatives can thrive, and the energies, of your people can be harnessed for strength and development. And so when you have a one-man show and whatever you want to, in whichever coloration or complexion you want to put it, I would want to set that aside. But coming back to your conversation, I'm thinking much more that we need to have leaders who are thinking more in terms of developing strengths of their own people to be able to advance whatever it is they want to advance in the world. And one of the ways you can look at Rwanda, even though it does not, for me, exemplify clearly what I would want in terms of freedoms, but it clearly had harnessed the energies of its own people, and it can stand up to whether it's the World Bank, the IMF, and such other depressive, international organizations that are holding Africa down. It's an issue of ideology. If we begin to prioritize our worldview to factor in the strengths, the what we have within, the economic, capabilities of Africa, and then borrow these models across Africa. Whether you are talking about Congo, you are talking about Nigeria, Egypt, South Africa, Botswana, Cameroon, coming together economically will present a much stronger, issue under a free rule-based governance system than one in which we are eulogizing, for me, what you call transformative dictatorship. I don't want to share that.
Actually, it's not me calling it transformational dictatorship, but it's the viewpoint of a school of thought trying to internalize whatever is happening across the continent and the global world, that the discrepancies created within the European Union and other countries out of the continent have brought the realities of this global world of governance, and it brings us again. That's why in the first segment of this conversation, I actually loved that we contextualize definition of terms, not to be caught up in the web, and coming again to you to probably get more understanding and clarity when it comes to dictatorship, transformation, and governance roles or models which actually do not benefit the entire population. With you, HARLEY SCHLANGER, I know that the Schiller Institute has been expanding in the African sphere understanding. Do we see a problem of ideology or political tactics, or actually some sort of the model of the governance which is a setback for Africa to thrive practically in this multipolar world?
Well, I'll say something that might be controversial, but the question of ideology, as our colleague from Nigeria was saying, is crucial.
Sure.
And one of the ways the European colonial system dominated is by imposing a Western view on the people in Africa. And this is where we see the ability to divide and conquer. That's what geopolitics is about. How do you divide people up? Now, look at it from the standpoint of the oligarchy in the West. What was their greatest fear about Africa? This came out in a document that Henry Kissinger pushed through in 1975 called National Security Study Memo 200. And he said the great threat to the West from Africa is population growth. And why is that a threat? Well, if you have nations that are under good governance, they're working on the future, where they're working to ensure that the young people will have opportunities in the future. And this is what the West has been trying to stop in terms of the thinking of governments in Africa. And that's why you see the civil wars and the weapons trafficking and drugs and everything else to divide countries apart. So I think the question that's been brought up a couple times of a unity, of a common commitment to the development of neighboring countries, based on this idea that it's the great resource in Africa, and of course Africa has tremendous resources in terms of raw materials and so on, but it's really